Hey Miraculous fans, Crystal here, and I have just watched El Toro de Piedra. And oh boy, there are some things that people were talking about when this episode first came out. Which thing am I referring to? You don't know because there is like three different things that were kind of big in the fandom. Yeah, a few things that all happened in this episode. But speaking of things all happening in this episode, one thing I loved is how they managed to have sort of separate plots that all come together to support a big theme. Like the supporting plot with Ivan and his dad, which that on its own would have been really cool. But the thing with Ivan and his dad ties into Adrian's thing, even though the characters don't know it. Because, when Ivan tried to give up his Miraculous and he said, well, the son of a supervillain can't be a superhero. Son of Monarch is a superhero, but nobody knows that. Nobody knows that. I mean, okay, Marinette knows that Adrian's the son of a supervillain. She doesn't know he's Cat Noir, but she knows that, yes, son of a supervillain can still be a good person. She's seen that, and, she was the one who was able to talk to Ivan and say, well, your father, you're not guaranteed to be like your father. You can be better, and you're being stronger. You've already showed that you're stronger. It was quite an interesting and kind of serious for a kids show because, his father is not just an akumatized supervillain. He was already a straight up criminal. Like, it's not outright said, I guess, which is maybe how they got it into a kids show, but it's pretty much implied with can't remember what they called that program, like Second Chance or some program or something, where I don't think that's what they called it, but which I presume is something where people who have gotten out of prison can try to reform themselves. He's probably on probation or something. But he wanted to go back to his old ways and wanted to steal a painting, and he tried to get Ivan involved in that, but Ivan, he was strong enough. He said no. He took the bag, he left a letter, he said no. He still had his moments of doubt because it was after that he said, I'm not worthy of the Miraculous, but he kept it. That already on its own made for such a good episode plot, and I'm all for it. But the rest of the episode had some interesting moments. So the other plot, one of the other plots centered around Kitty Section giving a performance. First off, they couldn't get Luka to join in because they couldn't get they were going to have him on a projector or something, and that didn't work out. Speaking of which, I am planning a video on the new designs anyway, but Luka looks great, I will say that. It's nice to see him again after so damn long. I do wish he'd gotten more of an interaction with Marinette, like if they'd gotten a chance to talk in private, because, he knows she's Ladybug, and he knows Adrian is Cat Noir, but he was never that close with Adrian, so I don't know if they'd have a private talk where they can speak freely. But I was kind of hoping that Marinette and Luka would get a private talk. He seemed to notice how crazy she was being in that moment, and he's like, okay, something's going on, but I can't really talk to her about that right now. But the one of the best moments of the episode was probably the song. Okay, so Luka couldn't be there, and then Ivan still wasn't there, So Julika said, let's do the song acoustic. And Rose said, okay, but you sing it. And then she gave her a pep talk. And then we finally got our lesbian kiss. And like, I knew it was coming because, as you guys know, I'm watching these episodes a bit late and I've already heard about stuff, but I knew it was coming. And I saw it in the context of the episode, and I was just like, yes! It was just, oh my God. I don't even know how to put it into words. It was just amazing to finally get that. It was the perfect moment for it too. And if you have a problem with that moment being in this show, screw you, and that's all I'll say. Yeah, that moment was perfect. But as I said, the other perfect moment is the song itself, which I just sat there singing along to the whole thing because, you know, I might not have watched the episode in full when it first released. I didn't watch it until now. Speaking of now, I will say, when I say now, I mean when I'm recording this, and there is quite a delay before uploading. So when I say now, I'm going to tell you it's the 16th of July. So compare that to the upload date, whatever. But yeah, I didn't see the full episode until now, but obviously people had posted a clip of the song when the episode first released. And I downloaded that and I've listened to the hell out of that because it sounds bloody amazing. One thing that always interested me though is oftentimes the episode is first released in French, and so we get a bunch of clips online in French and we either don't understand them or we have to ask people to, tell us what they're saying and stuff. And the interesting thing is, the clip with the song was released at that point because even in the French dub, the song was in English. I saw a lot of people commenting, asking, that's the French dub, why'd she sing it in English? And I don't know, I guess she wanted to. I think it was the voice actress's choice to do it in English. I'm not sure. But back then I remember thinking to myself, well, if it's English even in the French dub, are they going to leave it intact and play the original, or are they going to have the English voice actress sing it herself? And watching this, which obviously I watched English dub, watching this version, it sounded the same as it always has been when I've heard it, which I believe that means it was not the English voice actress singing it, they just left it in that the French voice actress sang, which I'm happy with that choice because she sounds great. But I can imagine some people might not like that choice because it means Julika's voice technically changes a bit when she sings. But I think it's fine. She sounded great. The song was great. And more to the point, this is a very big moment for Julika as a character. Now, the episode might not have been about her. It was more about the Ivan thing and about the Adrian thing that I'll get to soon. But even though it wasn't her episode, this moment is really important in her character development. She has come such a long way. This is a character who, remember, Julika used to be that character who spoke only in vague mumbles, and people had to repeat what she said so the audience knows. She barely spoke in vague mumbles, and always felt ignored or anxious. One of my favorite episodes for a while was Reflectol because of her moments in that episode as well. So just seeing this growth for Julika's character was just amazing. And speaking of the song, well, this isn't really about the song itself, more just something I noticed during the song, is that I didn't mind how we didn't really get the usual action sequence of defeating the Akuma. I mean, we saw it, but it like had no audio because we were listening to the song. I kind of liked that because it's not the focus of the episode. We don't really care how they defeat the Akuma. We just know, okay, that happens next. But one of the coolest parts about that sequence is you'll notice she does Lucky Charm and summons a cowboy hat. Why? No reason. Just to look cool. No, seriously. I remember noticing this way back when the song clip first was all over the internet. And I saw people commenting, she just summoned a cowboy hat. I'm pretty sure she doesn't even really use it in any way to beat the Akuma. So I think it's more to the point of, because she can summon infinite Lucky Charms now, she probably just summoned it just for the heck of it, just to look cool, just to be on theme. And I'm all for that, because it did look cool. So good job, Ladybug, I guess. I liked it. But also maybe she had to summon something anyway, no matter what it is, because she knew she'd have to repair damage afterwards. So that's probably why she summoned it as well, because she had to summon something and she didn't need an object to defeat the Akuma. So she was like, I better use Lucky Charm, and it just came out as the cowboy hat to tell her, hey, just have an accessory. You don't need anything else. And I did like that moment at the end where Roger Cop was gonna arrest him, and she's like, well, he didn't commit a crime. I mean, he was gonna steal something but didn't. There's no law against thinking about it, right? I mean, I don't know. There is like attempted, or like, if it can be proven someone was planning a heist, is that a crime? Well, doesn't matter. The point is, yeah, he thought about it. He didn't steal anything. And Roger was like, yeah, but all the destruction. But okay, if you're going to arrest people for the destruction, you'd have to arrest every Akuma character because they cause a lot of destruction. But guess what? She says Miraculous Ladybug, and it's all gone. That's probably why as I said, that's why she had to use Lucky Charm before, so she'd have something to throw when she says Miraculous Ladybug. So he's off the hook, which, I mean, I wouldn't have cared if he actually did go back to prison, but they wanted to give him a chance, I guess. But let's get to the thing that everybody was talking about. Well, aside from the kiss thing, because everyone was talking about that as well. The other thing in this episode that everyone was talking about was the letter. So Marinette finds a letter addressed to Adrian. First off, she could have just given it to him. She doesn't know what's in the letter yet, so first she doesn't make the decision to read it at first. She takes it to Nathalie, but then Nathalie opens it and reads it with Marinette there, so they both kind of read it. So that was Nathalie's decision, not Marinette's. Now they both know what's in the letter, and the letter basically says, I was monarch, and I want you to be the next monarch and get Ladybug and Cat Noir's Miraculous, which Adrian would never do because he is Cat Noir, and he would never use the wish. Like, I feel like even if he did read the letter, he would not follow. He might be a little conflicted at first because he might, but like, Gabriel knew that Adrian would be in a vulnerable moment and easy to manipulate. But I feel like even then, Adrian would not do as he's told and try to get the Miraculous to make the wish. Because we've seen time and time again, he has overcome that. He did have that brief, he had a brief moment once when they were fighting Safari, I forgot the name of the episode, when they were swapping Miraculous, and he was holding it and he was like, what if we used the wish? But then she told him it's not a good idea. More to the point, I liked how in Shadybug and Claw Noir special, Claw Noir said, well, if you're me, how come you never tried to take a Miraculous and use the wish? And he explained, well, I've thought about it, but if I wished Mum back, someone else would lose their mum, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone. I wonder if he still thinks the same way, because now he's lost not just his mum, but his dad. So what if, he might be vulnerable enough to wish them both back? Or would he still be like, well, I don't want someone else to lose both their parents? More to the point, though, even if he would refuse that, giving him the letter means him finding out that his father was not a hero. Which is why I feel like for a brief moment, Marinette was considering giving him the letter, because there was a scene near the end where she was holding it again and walked into his room. But then I think Adrian must have said something about wanting to remember his father as Papa Corn. Apparently the Gabriel that we know used to be a guy who was good with kids and would make him laugh, as the frog plush represented. And Adrian said, he was like, how could he go from Papa Corn to father? And he wants to remember him as that. So that's clearly when Marinette made the decision to not show him the letter, because to her, it sounded like Adrian himself was saying, I want to remember him as a hero. He would not want to remember him as monarch. In fact, that ties into, in my last review, which was Revelator, when I mentioned his new ability to erase memories, I did mention that I've seen someone had a theory that there might be a time when he finds out his father was monarch, but then he chooses to erase that from his own memory. That could very well be plausible, especially when he said he wants to remember him that way. But also, one interesting moment involving the letter is when Marinette and Nathalie were talking, they actually kind of had the opposite perspectives from what I expected. Because it was actually Nathalie who was more okay with hiding the truth from Adrian. And then Marinette was the one who wasn't sure and said something like, but is it okay for us to make this decision for him? Which is why, when she said that, in my brain, I was like, this feels like it comes after Revelator. Because it feels like in that line, Marinette is getting that idea from what Alia said when she said, we don't get to decide what he does and doesn't know of the truth. But according to episode numbers, this is number 7. Revelator was number 11, so this doesn't come after Revelator. Unless it does, but that would require Thomas Astruck to admit that release order is correct. Which I've always said it is, but he keeps clinging to his precious production order. Which one is it? We'll never know. But yeah, it just really felt like she was getting that from that talk with Alia when she said, is it okay for us to take this decision from him? Because otherwise, if we go by number order, it means she was uncertain here, but then in Revelator she goes back to being certain and saying that we need to keep this secret for sure, which just feels kind of backwards, you know? That's why I'm saying this one feels like it comes after Revelator, which according to the numbers it doesn't. But there's another thing that everybody was talking about. Not just the kiss and not just the letter. The other thing that everyone was talking about when this episode released, which was the council, or whatever it was called. This scene, it was the post-end card scene. It was kind of, I don't know if ominous is the right word. It was pretty interesting. So we had this council of, I forget how many people, and we don't even know who they are, except one of them, a lot of people agreed that it is most likely Mrs. Tsurugi, and one of them at the end was revealed to be Nathalie's own father. More to the point, the first thing the council says is, Ladybug said that Gabriel defeated Monarch, and we here at the council all know that's not true. So this council of people who we never even knew existed when we were watching Monarch apparently all knew that Gabriel was Monarch. I did like the detail that Nathalie switched back to her old look when talking to the council. Maybe they've got a camera and they could see her. Or even if they couldn't see her and just hear her voice, it's like a mental thing, like she's going back into that mode. The other thing is some fans were saying that this kind of casts some doubt on Nathalie, like she's playing both sides, and what if she's gonna betray Ladybug? I've seen some people saying that, like maybe she's playing the long con. I've also seen other people saying, oh, the reason her hair's like that is because it's actually a flashback scene from way before the events of the rest of season 6. But I just don't see it. I mean, it could be, I don't know. All we know for sure is that the scene takes place, I guess, after the end of season 5 and after the London special, because, the guy said Ladybug has told the world that Gabriel defeated Monarch, when that's not true. But actually, no. I'm pretty sure that scene does take place at that point in the episode, because before Marinette walked into the room, Nathalie was, on the phone with someone. Someone told her something like, this thing needs to happen today, which I think they were talking about the council meeting. And then I liked the subtleness of how, Marinette walked in and Nathalie goes, oh, not now, because she was dealing with something else. But then she shows her the letter and she switches to saying, not here, because they need to go talk somewhere else, just to make sure that Adrian won't hear them. One thing, though, that I was curious about is that all it took was for her to see the letter, like the outside of the letter. She didn't read it yet. She just saw a letter with Adrian written on it, and then she said, not here. Does that mean Nathalie knew what the letter represented, or what was in it? Do you think Gabriel told her his plan to write this letter? I'm not sure. Or maybe she just figured out from context that it was a letter written by Gabriel to Adrian and that they should go look at it in private. Oh yeah, the other thing that this letter means. I've seen a lot of people saying, well, this actually screws over the so-called redemption that Gabriel had right at the end. Because remember, he was gonna make the wish, and yes, he still did, but a lot of people agree that, his plan was to make the wish and bring back Emily. It wasn't until Marinette showed him videos which told him that, this isn't what Emily wanted, and she had accepted her death and she wanted what's best for Adrian. And that seemed to be enough to convince him, Marinette thought she'd convinced him not to make the wish. Then he takes the Miraculous, it looks like he betrayed her, but then he makes a different wish and sacrifices himself. But with this letter, it means, was he planning this? Like, okay, maybe he wrote the letter as like a failsafe of like, okay, if this letter is being read, it means I decided to sacrifice myself or something. But then, at what point did he place the letter in the box? Or if not Gabriel, then who placed the letter in the box? It's so, I don't know if ominous is the right word. This whole mystery with the letter and the council. I still think one of them, I think they called her the machine, is Mrs. Tsurugi. The rest, we don't know. A lot of people are saying Lila is probably on this council. I don't know. Maybe. But if she was, do you think the rest of the council knows who is in possession of the butterfly Miraculous? Are they working with Chrysalis? Or are they a separate entity and they did not plan for Chrysalis? They didn't plan for Lila to pick up the butterfly Miraculous when Gabriel dropped it. I don't know, and I don't have an answer for you guys. That's just something to think on. But yeah, I think that's everything there is to this episode. I don't know how long I've rambled on for, but this episode is definitely a highlight of season 6 so far. It's definitely up there. Because, like, it had everything. It had major plot developments. It also had some great, like, minor plot points that, like the Ivan thing is a thing that's just for this episode that, like, it would have worked great even if it was just that. And then there was the Julika stuff and the kiss and the song and just everything. It's one of the rare times, like, I'm not seeing any negatives. It's got everything that we need from an episode. So, yeah. I haven't been rating these episodes, so I was about to say, yeah, 10 out of 10 or something, but I don't know. I'm not good with giving an actual score to things, but yeah, it had everything we need, I guess. So I better end this off. So, speaking of ending things off, the next episode I'll be watching, and the last season 6 episode I'll be watching until something new comes along, is The Ruler. And oh boy, am I excited for that one, because, again, I've had some spoilers, I've seen some things, and I'm really, really excited for that episode, knowing what I do know about it. But thankfully it'll be the last time that I'll have some spoilers, because it's still, we're in a bit of a hiatus, unless something new comes out before this gets uploaded, and then, yeah, as I said, there's some delay. But yeah, we're on a bit of a hiatus, so after The Ruler, I'll have no more new episodes to watch. I'll be all caught up. And then when new episodes do come out, I'll be able to react and watch and react and review them immediately with no spoilers, and that'll be amazing. But with that being said, I'll see you next time for more Miraculous and other things as well. See you next time, guys.